To start out, my name is Jocelyn Kopac. I served as the Rock County Small Business Development Consultant for a year and a half, almost 2 years, the SBDC, and now I work directly through the City of Janesville and the Janesville Innovation Center to provide free resources. But if you're not in the area and you're watching this from abroad, which I know some of you are far and away, I'm here to kind of help you build your business if you've got questions. So today we're going over tactical content marketing. We're going to go over a couple things. We're going to go over a framework. It's a 3-post rule that I think every single business should follow, because so many times I head over to Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn and the business hasn't posted in 45 business years. And that's not helpful, because I'm here to take a look at the business, right? And we want to make sure that our businesses sound and look good to somebody that might want to buy from us. The second thing we're going to go over is a personal content bank and how I do it. You don't have to follow exactly how I do it, but I would highly recommend it because it makes life really easy. We're going to work through building and creating 2 publishable posts. So not only are you going to learn it, but you're also going to do it. And then setting up a 30-minute content habit every single week. It sounds crazy, but it works to at least keep your business functionally alive on the internet. And then I have a free idea generator with AI. So if you are one of those people that struggles with, I don't know what to post or when to post it or how to post it, I got you. Okay, so jumping right in, the reality check is most small businesses quit content because it's a project, not a habit. And this whole session, this tactical content marketing, is an hour, if not a little bit less, of a working section. It's not a lecture, although I love to teach. That's not how this is going to roll. And by the end, I want you to have 2 posts ready to schedule. So if you've been treating your social media like a project, which you should put back on your to-do list every now and then, and you post a lot for a couple weeks, then you don't post again for 3 months, and you don't know what to post, you just don't post anything at all, this is for you. So, the first things first, there's 3 different kinds of content in today's world. The first one is photo content. This would be your camera roll. Most of us have a smartphone at our disposal though, so your camera roll is going to be huge. Graphic, which would be, I'm going to create something really pretty like Canva, or video, also from your camera roll. Now, notice how I say a graphic comes from Canva and not a graphic comes from AI. There's some pretty clear stuff when it comes to AI that we know that you can easily pick out if a graphic is AI or not. So we don't love that. So if you are using AI to create your graphics, I highly recommend to do that for maybe an idea, but then going over to Canva and rebuilding it to match your brand and to match your vibe and etc. If you aren't doing that, you're missing out on 2 things. 1, matching your brand, right? But 2, you could be taking somebody else's work and they could come back and sue you if it's too close. AI works off of things that are already out and about into the internet, or things that you feed into it. I highly doubt that you are drawing in AI and having it make stuff. If you are one of those, I'd recommend that you'll get a picture or create the graphic on Canva yourself. Okay, so that being said, that's your visual side of the content. That's the stuff that we can't do with AI that we need to do with our day-to-day lives and our day-to-day activity with our business. What we can do though is the 3-post rule. So every single month, every single business in the universe of businesses need to be posting 3 things. The first post is what you do. If you have more than one service or more than one product, it's even easier because you can switch it out every single month. But there should be a post about what you do. There should be a post about who you help, because even though we all say we want to help as many people as possible and we want to reach as many people as possible and our things are amazing and great for 1,010,000 different people, there is somebody very specific that you can do a 180 switch with, right? So think about if you've got a mom that is potty training her kids, and I'm only speaking about that because I'm looking at Nina here. Nina just went through the business readiness program and has a potty training program for kids. You have a mom that you're potty training your kid, and maybe the first time you don't think anything of it because you're like, it's just going to be, lemon hard. But that second time, that second kid, you're like, I need to have a better plan than the first time, right? And so that is who she helps, not because she can't help mom with kid number 1 or on kid number 5, but very specifically on that second kid because they know the struggles that they're going to face and she wants to be able to help fix them. Okay? Just to give you an idea. The third post that you should post every single month, and I don't care if you only ever post these 3 posts. If you post these every single month, I will be happy when I look at your socials, is why you do what you do, why you do it, right? Every single one of us has a reason why we're in business, whether we're selling farm fresh eggs, or we're decorating cookies, or we're investing in businesses, or we're playing music, or we're creating content, or whatever, right? Every single one of us has a reason why we do it. Maybe it's money, and you can be really honest about that, right? Authenticity is really helpful. Maybe it's because you want to leave something for your kids. Maybe it's you saw a huge hole in your industry and you were like, I can fill it. I've got a way to fix this, right? Maybe it's because you're a mom of two that has gone through potty training more than once, and you went potty training the first time was rough and I need to make it better the second time. But that's the 3-post rule. So if you're feeling overwhelmed by content and social media itself, that's what you should be posting every single month. It's really that simple. Okay, it sounds simple, but really, how do we do this? So, that being said, we're going to build your content. So, now is your time to pull out your notebook or open a Google Doc if you're me and start answering these. I'm going to answer these at the same time, so you can either pause me or you can tune me out. It doesn't matter to me, but you should be answering these as well. So, what you do, right? That first kind of post that you need for your content for your business. What is your best customer? If your best customer was describing what you do to a friend, not to you, to somebody else, completely somebody different, over coffee, what would they say about your business? Right? So for me, I'm going to use the business readiness program because I'm constantly working on that right now. They would say, if you want to start a business, there's this program out there, it's free, and they'll work you through all kinds of different stuff to make sure that you're successful and you understand your marketing and what you're selling and who you're selling to and your finances. And then at the very end, there's this big event that you get to talk to all kinds of people about your business, right? It'd be something that simple, right? The second question, make it really easy for you, is walk me through what happens the day someone starts working with you. What do you actually do? So for me, I wake up, I take a shower, I let my dogs out, I eat myself some yogurt with some strawberries, and then I get in the car and I drive to the Janesville Innovation Center to my office. And then I sit down and I open my emails and I answer emails. And then I realize that I didn't finish my slides for today, so I need to go finish my slides for the day. And then I look at all of the stuff I need to do for my clients, and you're top of my list. And so now I sit down and I really deep dive into your brand and what I'm going to be doing for you and what I need to accomplish for today. Maybe that's what my day looks like when I start working with somebody new. Then maybe I send you a recap email, or I add a document to maybe our shared Google Drive, right? Whatever it is, that's kind of how my day would work, right? Again, not super polished, super chill, right? Super authentic. This is literally what I do. Not saying that the end post has to include that I let my dogs outside before I left the house, but like to get yourself in the flow of writing. The third question is, what do people always say after they work with you that make you feel like you nailed it? For me, there's a few things, right? One of the clients that I helped start a business, she opened it, which is so exciting, and she made $8,000 her first day, which is not normal. Made $8,000 the first day she was open. Another thing that makes me feel really good is when people sign up for classes over and over and over again, and they recommend those classes to other people because they took the same class last year, because I have a rolling 12-month calendar, and they say, oh my gosh, it was so helpful. Like, yeah, my mom really needs to come because she's a realtor, or I really want to have you come and talk to my group of entrepreneurs, right? Those are things that make me feel like I really nailed it and that what I'm doing is helpful, right? So those are just things that I would write down if I was covering these. And you're just going to keep that really rough draft, and we're going to move on to the next set of questions, okay? The next set of questions are who you help. Again, if you're watching this and you're like, wow, this is moving really quick, totally fine. Put me on pause, take a longer time to write. Not a big deal. Okay, so who you help. First question is really simple. Who is the person you secretly build this business for? Describe them like you know them personally. And in all honesty, if you are a small business owner, you should know them personally. I cannot stress this enough for you. If you don't know someone that you are building your business to fix what their problem is, I would say you need to go out and talk to more people. So that being said, I think this is 6 out of 9, by the way. I'm going to fix that right now. I think that for me, for the person that I'm secretly building this for is myself, right? It's me when I first started out building my music company 15 years ago, right? And I knew I was lost in the sauce and I didn't have a good direction. And for me, it was really rough, right? I was going off of what maybe some older white guys had said, said about their business, and I was like, sure, that should work, right? Which didn't make any sense for me because I was a young black woman that was trying to figure it out, right? So I'm secretly building it for me that, me 20 years ago, 15 years ago, right? And so with that, I didn't have a lot of money. I had no other financial support. I had a lot of ambition. I had a lot of go. I didn't know I had ADHD at the time. I love to teach and I love to help people. I didn't know exactly how to charge for things. I didn't know when to say no to stuff. I said yes to a lot of things that I should never have said yes to that didn't make me any money. So, right, that's all stuff that I would write down for that first question. Again, super rough. It doesn't have to be perfect. Second question, what is the thing your customers are dealing with that keeps them up at night before they find you, right? So here, this is your 180 win, right? The sauce that you that you are making, your secret sauce, if you will, right? So for me, what I would write here is a lot of the customers that I deal with, or a lot of people that I deal with, are aspiring business owners, or they are a business owner that is feeling very much like they are not accomplishing what they need to accomplish. That being said, it makes it really hard for them to keep moving forward. They're feeling very stuck, and that keeps them up at night like, am I making the right choice? Am I doing the right thing at the right time? Right. So things that they're dealing with is lack of finances or understanding where their money is going. A lot of business development issues like, I don't know where I'm going to make my next sale or how I'm going to keep my next sale if it's like a contract deal. And then things like, when do I hire? Why do I hire? How much do I pay people? Things like that. The third question you're going to go through is, what does your customer get to stop doing, stop feeling, or stop worrying about after working with you? Now, this question, I will say these three questions can be really built out, right? So you could at this point have a bullet point list, right, of who you're building this business for and why, right? You can have a bullet point list of things your customers are dealing with and keeping them up at night. And then you could have a whole nother bullet point list of things that they get to stop doing, things that they could stop feeling, and things that they can stop worrying about. And that's the really nice part about like this content system. This 3-post rule kind of keeps feeding itself, if you will. And so that being said, in this question, things that I would kind of go into here to give you an idea is they get to stop spinning their wheels or redoing the same thing over and over again, because they keep finding out new information and have to go back to square 2 or 5 or even 1 sometimes and rebuild everything. They get to stop feeling like they are not making enough money, that they are not spending enough time working in their business and on their business, right? They're always working for their business and not on their business. And they get to stop feeling the overwhelm that comes with that. And they get to stop worrying about what their business is going to look like in a quarter or 2 quarters or a year or 5 years, because they have a pretty decent plan of where they're going to go, right? So things that I would write down in these scenarios. And again, if you're watching this and you're like, this is way fast, pause, answer at your own leisure. Okay. And then the last question that you should post once a month at least, and this is 9 out of 9, right? So if you get all these answered, all 3 of every single one of these questions, then you should have at least 9 posts, which is 90 days of content. So the last 3, who do you help? Why do you do it? This is one of my favorite things to talk about, in all honesty, because I really love what I do. So, and for those that don't know, I'll put a blurb in here that I'm a serial entrepreneur. I own a software company, which you'll see at the end. I own a consulting company that does a lot more of like education, things like that, and done for you services for manufacturers for their business development side, especially marketing. I own a horse company because I have to pay for my horses somehow. I'm invested in quite a few other companies, and then I just started the business readiness program. So if you know me from there, that's why. So the business readiness program is my newest, and it's a nonprofit. I bought a rental property. So I literally left closing, went to look at the property again, make sure all the keys work, and now I'm here. Okay, so hopefully this was good background noise while you answered these questions. Anyway, why do you do it? Question number 1, why do you actually start this business? Not the polished version, not the real one. So if we think back to the first business I ever started, I started a music company. Actually, for those that are watching the replay, the live version of this I have on one of my really old clients, and I used to teach your kids as part of the music company, which is crazy. Very much blast from the past. But anyway, why did you start your first business, or start the business in general? So if we go back to that company, I started that company because I needed money. if we're going to be honest, I was a broke college student and I was a very good musician. I play violin, viola, piano, and I sing. I'd been around the world on my musical skills. I played professionally, and so it just made easy sense, right? And it was good money. On top of that, I really like kids that aren't my own. So it worked out really well. So that's why I started that business. That morphed into a consulting company, and the real reason is I figured out I could make more money and I could make more of a difference, and I got to work with various companies on the marketing side, and it kept feeding my ADHD, my need to always know something or do something new. It could be really that simple of a reason why you started your business. If we're talking about, for example, the business readiness program, huge need, right? I live in Rock County, Wisconsin. Huge need for education right here because we brain drain out to Chicago and Madison and Milwaukee, the cities that are around us, which is amazing. But if we can keep the talent and keep the education as close to home as possible, that's when people get the most out of it. Question number 2. What's something you believe about your industry that makes other people in your industry uncomfortable? For me, my answer, and this is going to be uncomfortable, right, is I believe that business should not be transactional. And at the core, right, if we're running a business, we want to make money. Transactional. But if you treat it as a friend helping a friend, and the win that we get because we're helping a friend actually make a shift in their business or their life or whatever you're selling is money, it's a very different view of business. When I approach anything in business, and I'm in the industry of starting businesses, right, that makes a lot of people uncomfortable, right? Because they don't want to talk about the money. They don't want to talk about the people that are incredibly transactional. They don't want to talk about the people that will do basically anything for money, teach things that they have no business teaching, or take clients that they have no business taking. And that makes people uncomfortable when you point it out, because sometimes we're guilty of that. And when I say we're, I mean me too. I've done it. Right? So that's why I do it. Third question, to give you an idea, if you close your business tomorrow, what would your customers miss the most that they can't get anywhere else? And this is where you can get some customer feedback, right? And sometimes your customers will say like, "Oh, I'm really just going to miss how delicious your coffee is," right? If you're a coffee shop, or if you're a bakery, like your sourdough bread fills me with all kinds of joy every morning when I cut into it before I put it into the toaster and it gets a little butter on it. It's delicious, right? Maybe it's something that simple. It's just like that emotional feeling, that attachment that they have. Maybe it's, for me, I think it would be me not giving you tea consistently, because for the customers or the clients that I see consistently, they get all kinds of tea of things that they have absolutely nothing to do with, which is fun. And maybe the emotional support that comes with it, right? They can sit right here in my office and we chat it out, right? About anything, right? Because if it's happening in your personal life, it 100% will affect your business life as a business owner. So maybe it's that, right? But that's some stuff that you could write down there to give you an idea. Okay. So if you've answered all 9 of these questions, you now have 90 days worth of content. And it's very rough drafty, right? Oh my goodness, like what are we going to do? We can't have rough drafts. Rough drafts are icky, and we want to make sure that they look good and they sound good and they make people buy from us, right? Because at this point, we're just putting information out into the universe. So how do we get people on the internet to actually chat with us, if you will? So a hook. A good social media post will have 3 things, okay? The first thing is a hook, right? I'm going to switch these around. Hold on, let's see. Okay, there we go. So a good social media will have 3 things. A hook, which is a first sentence, something that really grabs people's attention, right? If you spend any time on the internet watching TikToks or Reels or even just scrolling, most stuff has a hook. There's a reason why you stopped scrolling and started reading or started looking, right? And that's the hook. The answer is exactly what it sounds like. All those questions you were just answering, that's where you put your answer. Now, it could be 2 or 3 sentences. It doesn't have to be long, or it could be a whole heartfelt story, right? If this is why you started your business, there might be 15 different stories that go into it that all just kind of culminate into this is the business I now have, right? So that's where you're going to put your actual answer. And then your call to action. A call to action doesn't have to be anything crazy. A call to action could be as simple as follow me, or if you resonate with this story, like, or shoot me a message, or something along those lines. So that's kind of how we're going to put these posts together. Now, the second thing I wanted to point out, and this is something that a lot of people will not teach you, because yes, you have the post now, it's live, you have a photo that goes with it, and we're kind of killing it, and we're feeling good about ourselves, right? But what do we do with that content, right? What is that? Maybe my call to action is go click on the link, right? And it stops there? I think not. So we have funnel stages. And when we talk about funnels, you have to think about it as an upside down triangle, right? So it's wide at the top and small at the bottom. And TOFU, right? TOFU, TOFU, stands for top of funnel. Okay. So at the very biggest part of the funnel, okay, that's when we put stuff in. Right. And when we talk about marketing, we automatically are talking about sales. And when we're talking about sales, we're talking about leads. Okay. So we're thinking brand awareness here. Like, who knows about my business and what I sell? Right. That's the things that make us stop scrolling. They're broad, relatable. There's no pitch attached, which means your call to action in your post might be something like, thank you so much for listening to my story or reading my story. Right. It talks to anyone that has the problem but has avoided it. Right? So think about it as like maybe if you were selling potty training stuff, for example, it's like, hey, your second kid is getting ready to get potty trained and you want to be dry within 3 days. Right? And that would stop the scroll. Right? The goal is recognition. You want people to start recognizing your brand over and over again. Recognizing your name, recognizing your face, recognizing your logo, maybe recognizing the way that you shoot videos, right? They literally say, oh, that's them, right? So that's your top of funnel. That stops the scrolling, right? MOFU, middle of funnel, is the you should know this stuff. And each one of your answers will kind of fall into one of these. Sometimes it falls into more than one, but it will fall into one of these stages. This is more specific. It starts to position you as a business or service, a product, whatever, that can fix the problem they have, right? They're more interested than entertained. TOFU, top of funnel, is going to be more entertaining. Oh my goodness. What? Type content, right? MOFU is going to be more, oh, for real, we can do that, right? I get sucked in all the time because I'm such an AI nerd. I get sucked in all the time on, you can do that with Claude. You can do that with Notebook LM. You can do that, right? That's middle of funnel for those creators. I know it is, right? Because the next video I get is BOFU or BOFU, right? And that stands for bottom of funnel. Now remember, top of funnel is the biggest part, right? We're going to put the most amount of time and effort and leads, people, right? Views, things into that. They're going to slowly go down the funnel. So BOFU should not be posted all the time, right? If we were going to do simple math, we post TOFU 3 times, MOFU 2 times, BOFU 1 time, right? 3, 2, 1, right? Because if we always are posting stuff about let's go, right? Click the link, shoot me a message, do these things, buy this stuff, register, book, right? If we're always saying that on every single post that we post, people will stop looking. They'll stop scrolling. They'll stop looking at you and you won't be stopping the scroll. And what happens then is social medias in general will stop showing your content to anyone. So if you're one of those people that you're looking at your Instagram analytics, and that's why the reason you're watching this is you're like, I stopped posting because nobody was liking, right? I would bet money that you were posting a lot of MOFU and BOFU and nothing to stop the scroll, right? Nothing that makes people think, oh my God, that's literally me. I need to watch that or I need to read that. Right? So the way we do this is with a hook, right? I don't expect any of you to know what a hook is, so I wrote some for you. Now, I will send, if you're watching this and you want these slides and you don't want to like try to screen capture them or something like that, I'm more than happy to email them over to you, okay? But a hook formula is the simplest way to create your first sentence before you answer the question you're answering, right? Things like most people think you can start a business in 5 seconds, but actually it takes 3 months of planning and a year of, oh no, what did I do? That could be the first, that to fill in those blanks, right, at the first hook. Another one, what happens when you work with me? You become cooler. Right? That could really be literally your hook, right? Or what happens when you work with me? I'll take your business idea from idea to fully legal functioning business in 15 minutes. Could be something like that, right? I've done blank over and over, and here's what I know for sure. So let's say that maybe you're an egg seller, right? You have organic eggs to sell, right? And so I have packaged over 15 dozen eggs in the last week. Here's what I know for sure when raising chickens. Right? Like it could be something that simple. So to give you a couple ideas, one of my favorite ones is the moment I knew I had to do this differently was I paid a $42,000 tax bill. Right? Like it could be something that simple, right? Or honest question, like when's the last time you had a meeting where you literally thought I need to be friends with that person and you completely forgot they were trying to sell you, right? All of these things would completely hook somebody in to reading whatever else or listening to whatever else or watching whatever else you're putting out there. If you're watching this, pause it, screenshot it, or I'm more than happy to shoot you an email with these in text format so you can write them out. Now, we have the answers to your questions. We have where we want to put them maybe, or an idea of where they sit in a funnel. We have some hooks, and now we're going to actually write. So, step one, open your content bank, whatever that is. Maybe it's a Trello board, maybe it's Airtable, maybe it's a Google Doc or a Word doc, maybe it's your notes app of your phone. I don't care. Pick one. I personally like, if I'm going to be honest, I personally like doing stuff that is online versus like a Word document. The reason being is then I can really easily remember stuff, like if I'm on the go and I'm like, oh crap, like that's a really good idea. I can just like pop it into like my notes app or a Google Doc. It makes it really easy for me to update. And that way when I get back to my computer, I'm not like trying to find the text that I wrote maybe forever ago. Okay, so to give you a couple ideas, I am going to move these over to this screen, so hopefully you can still see them. So here's a good idea of a Trello board, and I can send any of these to you as well. This is a Trello board that we made for content. This is really just to remember things that were created and put out there. This is not necessarily for written content, but a Trello board is something really simple. It's drag and drop. You can click on each one of these little tab thingies and it opens it up, and you have a place where you can write the description, you can label it on what it is, all the things. So it could be something that simple. For example, here I've got a bunch of links of places where like my name is mentioned, right? So you could do something that simple if you don't want to do a document. Another way you could do it is Airtable. Either one of these I'm happy to send you. All you got to do is ask. Airtable is just like Trello. It's a little bit more high tech than like if you're doing a Google document. This will take a little bit longer to manage than just like writing out your answers on a Google Doc. Okay. So here we have a blog plan, like blogs that I've got planned, any lead magnets or links to like maybe sales pages, and then actual social media ideas, right? So like here's my answer to one of those questions, if it's been used, where I posted it. Super simple to keep track of, right? And as you can see, this is quite hefty. This is old for me, and this is a very, very old one, but it gives you another idea of how you can do it. The other way you can do it is something literally as simple as, let me see if I can find it. There we go. A Google Doc, right? This is another way you can do it. This one is my favorite one. It's the easiest, and especially if you're not very techy, it's exactly like Word, which I think at this point all of us know. I do a header. I say this is post 1, or maybe I'll say like this is the question it's answering. If I want this to be TOFU, MOFU, or BOFU, if maybe a little bit more of a description if need be, that way I can see it in like my table of contents, and then what I actually want to write. It literally could be that simple, right? And you can start this out with like it's your rough drafts, right? Like so your just immediate thoughts, like your bullet points off of these, and you can do it something like this. That's what I mean when I say open your content bank. That's what I mean. I don't care where it is. I can't share my screen for my notes app. Yes, I keep stuff in my notes app too, but I really wouldn't recommend it. Do as I say, not as I do. Okay, then you're going to pick one answer. I don't care what answer you pick, where you pick it, why you pick it, completely up to you. And then after that, you're going to write the post and pick a photo or a video. Now, that being said, I am a huge, huge, huge fan. I'm a Google user through and through. Okay, through and through. And so that being said, one of the things that I love using is Google Photos. Google Photos has the ability for you to make albums, and you can drop photos into your albums. And I'm telling you, if you are pulling out your phone and taking pictures and videos consistently, this is the easiest way to do it. Okay, as you can see, I have albums like TTB Opening, right, which is one of my clients, opened a bookstore in Fort Atkinson, very proud of her. BRP, Nucleation, which for those that don't know is taking an eyeball out. We had a pony that lost an eyeball. Easter cookies, right, this is an event I went to. Content like that I made using like CapCut and stuff, edited videos, right? So each one of these is a folder. So for example, if I click into BRP, there's 229 items in here. It's pictures and videos and videos and pictures. I never have to go searching for something to post, right? These may not be how I would want these to look when I go out, but it makes it super, super, super easy to have all my content in one place. And if you have a very big event, or maybe you have a grand opening, or maybe an event where you do some co-working with some other business friends, if you take a bunch of photos and pictures and videos, I could use this one day, this one a month later, this one a month later. Nobody will notice, and it's already there and easy for you to pick up and grab. So that's when I say if you just kind of manage what you already have, it makes life really easy. So writing the post, pick a photo or video, it could be that simple. So in my case, I maybe would, where did I just put those photos? Maybe I would pick, let's see, this one, because I think I'm funny looking. I'm like, whoa, okay, right? And I could download this photo, right, which I'm going to do. And I'm going to show you this real time, and that way you can do things yourself. I'm going to head over to Canva. You can head over to Canva, and there, right here, whenever you log in, there's an ability to click social media. It will tell you what size you need. Now, if you are like me, and you're lazy, I would recommend a custom size and just do a square, right? 4x4, 5x5, 300x300, I don't care. The reason being is a square will match and work across all social media platforms. It doesn't matter. Instagram used to only be a square. It clearly isn't only a square anymore, but for my purposes, I'm lazy. Okay, so then I'm going to upload that photo that I just downloaded, right, off of Google Photos. See how easy it is? I can do it all on my computer. I can move it over. I can make it a bit bigger. So maybe that's like a crazy face, right? Maybe I want to add on here a text box, right, that says crazy face, right? This is real time, right? I'm not doing anything super crazy here. I'm going to change the colors to maybe, there we go. Make it bold, make it bigger. Let's do that. Right? Now, I will do a whole training on Canva at some point. It's amazing. Maybe white. That'll help. Sure, whatever. This is not great. I wouldn't recommend posting this as is, but to kind of give you an idea, maybe we have to make that smaller. There we go. Okay. Now we're going to download it. Now we have our image. I wouldn't recommend posting. This doesn't match my brand whatsoever, but just so you can kind of see. Now, I have my writing, right, which is somewhere around here. Right here, right? So I have my content plan. I'm going to find one that isn't used yet. Oh, there we go. This kind of matches. Right? And then I can say, yep, it's going to be used now. I have my image. Great. So now I've written the post. At this point, let's just assume I've edited it. And you've picked your picture or video. This is real time, guys, because I have everything kind of organized. Now we have to schedule it. Now, the reason I say that this is a 30-minute habit, it's 10 minutes a post, right? If you're going to be posting 3 posts in that week, it's 10 minutes a post. If you're only posting 1 post a week, you could spend all 30 minutes on that post. Completely up to you. I personally don't find it's worth spending 30 minutes a post, mostly because I'm putting out so much content across all my businesses. But it's completely up to you on how you want to make your weekly habit. But the last thing I want you to do is schedule it. Yes, you could post it right now, but if you're anything like me, you're going to be doing it while the kids are asleep or in between meetings or at 2 a.m. in the morning, all of which maybe could be perfect times to post these things. But I'm at that point, yuck. So The next thing I want you to do is schedule it. There we go. I say to schedule it, and personally, I use TDM funnels. I use TDM funnels for scheduling because, well, if I'm going to be honest, I own it. And at the end of this, you will get a option to do a free trial. That being said, I head over to my social media scheduler. I hit new post, right? I can select where I want it to go. I can drop the content in there, right? I can upload this image, and this is why it is amazing to schedule stuff out. Because maybe I'm talking about an event that isn't going to happen until next month, right? Here's my content, right? Maybe I'm just not ready to post this, right? At the bottom here, I can say schedule post. I love it. Okay, you can pick a day, you can pick a time. So let's say I'm not going to schedule this post until next Saturday. At the bottom, since it's connected to your social media, it will tell you, and this is the same for all social media schedulers. So if you're like, Jocelyn, I don't want to buy TDM funnels, I want to just do it myself. That's totally fine, right? But my time for when people look at my social media is like at night, right? So 10 to 11, 11 or 7 to 8, 3 to 4, all of which 3 to 4, I'm definitely working. I am not focusing on posting social media. 7 to 8, I am usually at the farm riding horses. At 10 to 11, I'm going to sleep. Okay, so all of times that I probably wouldn't be posting normally, and I schedule a post. Now I don't have to worry. Now I know I have a post going out next week, and I don't have to worry about it at all. So if you are watching this and you run into any issues, do not hesitate to email me, call me, text me, leave me a comment. I don't care. But this is the 30-minute habit that I have that I follow. So that being said, you built your content system, you have a framework, you have ideas written down. Now you got to go organize your photos and videos a little bit, but you have posts that are ready to go. All you have to do is do that. So last thing I want to show you is you're like, okay, great, I've answered. I'm doing the 3-post rule. I've posted 3 times. Great, Jocelyn. I don't care. I want more than that. And if you want more than that, this is an idea generator. So you can use your phone to scan this code if you're not watching this on your phone, or you could type this in to your browser. That being said, I will give you a look-see into what this looks like. So I'm going to type this into my browser, AI idea generator. Clearly, I already had this open. This is what you'll see. This is free. You put your name, you put your email, because it does cost me money to run it. The first question is going to be, what do you do for your business? I'll put some stuff in there. I'm a small business consultant looking for anyone that starts a business. Second question, what's the one thing you want to be known for? Again, I don't know if you noticed this, but a lot of how I create content is based off of questions. I personally work best with, if I can answer a question, I'm going to create much better content than if I'm just like trying to pull information out of thin air. What's your biggest win or best result, right? So I can put a couple ideas in there. You could put way more than this in there if you'd like. What does my audience or the people that I serve struggle with, right? Put some information in there. And then lastly, you know, your call to action, basically. What are you selling? What are you promoting? Okay. Hit generate ideas, and this will help you come up with some ideas. Now, this will come up with full post ideas. That does not mean that you have to use them, but it'll give you some ideas. Now, that being said, a note with using AI. I was not super in love with using AI for generating images or photos, and I'm not super in love with using AI for generating content point blank. I want you to use AI in the way that it's meant to be used, which is you put really good, really specific information in, and you tell it to help you make it better. Not write something completely for you, not do anything crazy like that. But now I just put in 5 different sentences, 6 different sentences, and now it's able to pull out some information, right? It'll give you a hook. You don't have a business problem, you have an execution problem. It'll pull out another hook. One of my clients made 8K on her first day in business. Another hook. 30 businesses launched in 1 year. Here's what they all had in common, right? Another hook. If one more person tells you what they're waiting for the right time to start a business, right? All of which would make people stop the scroll and be like, ooh, what are they talking about? Then here's the about of calling out a real reason most businesses never launch. So now to use this, you could write something. You could go back and write something, but here's going to give you a draft or an idea based on what you input. Of course, go through, edit it, but it makes it super easy to copy and paste, pair it with a picture or video that you already have saved somewhere. If you don't use Photos, Google Photos, Drive, maybe just your camera roll. I tend to scroll a lot more in my camera roll than I tend to find stuff. So something like that. And you can use this as a way to start jump-starting more content than just the 3-post rule. Okay, so that's why I wanted to give that to you, because it'll make it easier. The other thing is the 60-day free trial of TDM Funnels. It includes a social media scheduler plus like 1,010 other things. But if you don't have anything to schedule your social media, I highly, highly, highly recommend you find something. There's a million options out there. You just got to find one that works well with your brain and what you want to do. So that being said, I'm going to open this up for questions and take this time to answer stuff. If you've got questions, put them in the comments below somewhere, and I'm happy to answer them. All right.